Good morning, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Toops, and I am the Bay Work Manager. So thank you all for taking time out of your busy day to join us today for this exciting webinar about competency-based training. We're fortunate to have Catherine Curtis from San Francisco Public Utilities Commission here with us this morning talking about this topic that she's been doing a lot of work on. So we're excited to share this with you. For those of you who don't know, Bay Work is a consortium of 43 water and wastewater agencies, and we're based in San Francisco, but the 43 agencies are representing the entire Bay Area, and our focus is really on workforce reliability. What can we as a consortium of water and wastewater agencies do to secure the future workforce of the water wastewater industry across the Bay Area, and also continue to grow the skills of the current workforce. Check out our website. I'll put the website, a link to the website in the chat here in a minute. And I know, by the way, that the chat is disabled for participants. We'll get that fixed here in a minute. So check out our website for more opportunities to engage with us, whether it's a webinar, our internship, or other exciting things that we're doing. So without further ado, I think I'll invite Catherine to start her presentation.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you for everyone attending. Welcome to this presentation on the competency-based training system that we have built at San Francisco Public Utilities Commission and Wastewater Enterprise. This is a review of our pilot and how we are making the system our own. Elizabeth, can you put the slideshow on, please? Instead of having all the slides, just start from there. You go. We began the pilot project at our Oceanside plant in the fall of 2019. This flow chart represents the process we defined for the pilot. 1, establishing the scope, the need, the objectives, the key results, and securing leadership approval for the requested training. 2, assembling the internal team that will consistently develop and implement the training system. 3, preparing the standard operating procedures. This is the first step of creating the documents needed for the training modules. Number 4, documenting the necessary knowledge competencies and skill competencies. Number 5, developing our standard answers for the assessment process. Number 6, preparing the instructional material and presentation materials for the classroom portions of the training. Number 7, conducting the train the trainer course. We'll get into more of this later on in the presentation. Number 8, assessing and certifying trainers. Number 9, incorporating the new training modules for training and assessment of staff. And 10, assessing and updating program performance as measured by the objectives and key results on a regular basis. So this was our roadmap, if you will. Next. Can you move to the next? Elizabeth? Okay. This is the org chart for the CBTS pilot. Greg Norby, our AGM at the time, was the driver of this project, and it was one of his top priorities. We also had consultants work with us to develop the training system, a project lead and a contract manager, that was me, and different participants in the project. An implementation committee comprised of the AGM, division managers, representatives from this project, and task force team members met monthly. An agenda was sent out prior to the meeting, and meeting minutes were taken and sent out with action items. We developed training modules for operations, mechanical maintenance, and safety. And we identified trainers and assessors in each area. When we began conducting safety assessments, we formed an assessment subcommittee, which you'll see over on the one side, to discuss scheduling, progress, and tracking. We had a chartered task force team, which is on the other side of the chart, that was responsible for managing all aspects of this project. That team was me and one other person. So there's our org chart. Oops. Next, Elizabeth. So what is a competency-based training system anyway? There are three components to our structure: fundamentals, systems, and tasks. For our system, we focused on the job role competencies, which is the minimum knowledge and skills one would need to know and demonstrate to ensure proper operation of equipment or systems. So that's how we define competency-based training. Next. So what is training defined? How do we define training? So here at Wastewater, training occurs when instruction is given on the job, in the classroom, or both. And that is followed up by a demonstration of the acquired knowledge or skill in order to do that task successfully. Contents of a training module. For CBTS, for competency-based training systems, a training module includes competencies and standard answers. We document these in a special cloud-based software and application called UTAC, which is designed specifically for this training system. UTAC stands for Universal Training Assessment Competency. SOPs are developed for each task. An automated review and approval process has been implemented on our SharePoint site, which I'll get into a little later on. SOPs are used to do the field training when complete. Course materials include the PowerPoint presentations, videos, existing infrastructure, station manuals, manufacturer materials, and digital tools like SharePoint and UTAC to help manage documents and track our process. Next. Communication is a really big deal. We created a robust communication plan for this project, but then in early 2020, what happened? COVID hit. And it just changed everything for us. We could not have people meet in meeting rooms and give presentations on this any longer because of the COVID restrictions. So I created a frequently asked question document. I wrote articles. We were featured in different newsletters, and I also showed up and gave reports to safety meetings, division meetings, etc. Next. Train the Trainer workshop. This is one of the cornerstones of this program, and it's so we can prepare staff to be able to write the SOPs, conduct the trainings and assessments, and learn UTAC, a new digital tool that helped us generate the standard answers and competencies for all of these processes. And it also helps us track what's happening. The first chart depicts the number of people who have completed the workshops from the various divisions. So for operations and mechanical maintenance, we had the most. WeTech is our training group. The other chart is a list of some of the things that are covered in the workshop, things that you would expect, right? Next. So here are some pictures of the Train the Trainer workshop. The AGM in the first picture always launched the workshop and talked about how it fit into our business plan, why it's important, and what he hopes people will get out of the workshop. We had field exercises to capture content and pictures for SOP development. Adults learn by doing. One big piece of the training is introducing the UTAC software, defining the competencies, and creating the standard answers for assessments. Our management and executive leadership were involved in the workshops and did the training. Showing leadership was behind the project was absolutely crucial in the implementation phase. Next. Your messages keep popping up there, Elizabeth. Here's a picture of a student developing an SOP and the instructor observing what they're doing. So we had practical exercises in the field. Next. These pictures give you examples of the UTAC component. Later in the presentation, we'll review the digital tools and the digital skills needed for the system. Next. This chart looks at the CBTS process. The first decision was who gets assessed? Does everyone get assessed in everything? Do people get assessed by process area or their position? Can people be grandfathered in? We decided everyone gets assessed in safety first. Operations gets assessed in all modules created for OSP operations. Mechanical maintenance gets assessed in all modules developed for their crew area. After they train on their crew area, they will train on the other crew area so that management would have more flexibility in the assignments and scheduling when people are sick. Cross-training is very valuable. Training and assessments are completed. Passing requires 100% accuracy. If someone does not pass, a training plan is created for just the parts that they missed. And when the senior or the assessor feels they're ready, they'll reschedule that assessment and just cover the questions that were missed to achieve 100% grade. The other question was, do people get qualified or certified? We decided that if you completed one SOP, you are qualified on that task. If you complete all SOPs in an area like primary or secondary or solids, then you are certified on that area. Next. So we have task competencies and system competencies for every module. These are the task competency questions we ask in the assessment. What are the steps to this procedure? What is the purpose of this task? What control coordination is required? What means of communication is used? What safety precautions must be observed? Next. System competencies deal with the equipment. These are the questions that we ask for the system competencies. What models types are available? Where is it located? How does it operate? What maintenance is done by mechanics to ensure proper operation? What is its capacity? What are the probable indicators if this component fails? All answers are tracked in the UTAC system. Next. I also generated a lot of reports as we moved through this process. Now, we started in 19. The pilot ended in June of 23. So it was four years. Quite a long process. So here are the reports that were distributed. The SOP report, how many SOPs were started, in progress, completed, approved in each area. And by each area, I mean mechanical, operations, safety. We did some in electrical, we did some in INC. Assessment report, how many people were assessed and completed, passed. the monthly report. This was a status report that was given to us by the consultant, and it tracked deliverables, what was done that month, what was being worked on now, what was next in line. The final pilot report went out after the pilot was completed to summarize the report. This was about 10, 11 pages with all the numbers and all the details. Guidance manual. This was a comprehensive write-up of the project designed to guide future people who manage this training system at wastewater. All of these reports and materials were kept on our SharePoint site. Next. The manual included an introduction, the purpose and use of the pilot project, charter and implementation committee, elements of the competency-based training system, accountability and reporting, and sustainability with appendix materials. This was written for anyone that will work with this program moving forward. Chapter 4 is all the bolts and nuts of the training program. That was a big project. Next. Digital tools. These are the computer hardware and software that we need to do this work. As you can see, it's quite a number of tools. We use the iPads and phones to do assessments in the field. There are specialized software tools certain groups have to use. For example, if you are in mechanical maintenance, you have to know the Maximo system, which produces work orders. If you are an operator, you have to know our DCS system, our distributed control system. It's like a SCADA system for water utilities. And that tracks our flow and activity in the treatment process. It's important to ensure that your job description and announcement for these occupations reflect the digital skills needed in their roles. As the need for skills increase, we need to do salary studies, not only in our water industry, but in all industries that compete with us for our trades workers, like transportation, like aerospace, like manufacturing. There's an article this month in the AWWA journal that Cindy Goodburn and I have authored on this topic. So if you want more information, please read the article. It's really critical that we start expanding, our different classifications for what we need for digital tools and make sure these things are included in our announcements. We really need to increase budget and pay more attention to digital training needs and awareness of cybersecurity issues moving forward in our water utility industry. Next. So these are the skills we need our workforce to be able to perform with digital tools when working on this training system. They have to have the ability to operate Word and create and edit SOPs and other documents. They have to navigate between systems. They have to upload and download documents. They have to put documents on a thumb drive. They have to have the ability to look at that DCS system for operations or that Maximo system for the maintenance folks. Ability to use the internet for research. The intranet is our internal, and SharePoint, which is our knowledge management system. Ability to use the UTAC software to conduct assessments, not just the cloud-based software, but there's an application as well. And what happens is if you don't have connectivity, you use the application, you conduct the assessment, and then when you come back up and have connectivity, you sync it with the cloud-based software, and that updates our system. You have to have the ability to use your camera or iPhone or iPad to take pictures for SOPs and PowerPoints. And you have to be able to join online platforms like Zoom and Team because we have meetings, and oftentimes because of COVID, we had to use those platforms. So those are the digital skills needed. Everybody at this point in the water industry is a digital worker. Everybody works on some kind of system. Thank you. Next. So this is our homepage for the competency-based training system and our SharePoint system. I have set this up and I maintain it. We store all of our meeting minutes, status reports, quarterly reports, digital training, link to the SOP review for the SharePoint site, where we have an automated review and approval process. We keep all of our documents, trackers, pictures, just everything is kept here. Next. So during the middle of this project, we worked with Share It Squared. It's a consultant company for SharePoint. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to automate the review and approval process for all of our documents in this program. So we had to think through and determine the data points, the reviewers, and the process. For each data point entered, like the facility, location, division, type of document, etc., it would generate nomenclature for the document, and then the person uploading the document would just type in the title of the document as the last step, and then the document was automatically created. You submit it to the review and approval process. 2 people review it, and then it gets to the manager who reviews it and approves it. Once it's approved, it's automatically placed in our SOP library. This has worked really, really well for us. It took a while to get it set up, but it was worth it. So don't be afraid of technology. Utilize it for what you need it for. Next. UTAC software. As you know, the UTAC software is specialized for the competency-based training system. We had a licensing agreement for the software and worked with our IT people to get through 79 points of cybersecurity features we needed to have for both the cloud-based and the application. And it took time. It took about 6 months to get through all this, but cybersecurity is one of our greatest risks right now. So please, when you bring in software to your utility, make sure you work with your IT folks. And just for your information, Baywork is in the process right now of developing a checklist for utilities. So when you bring in a new tool, you can look at the checklist and figure out what you need to do. It's coming live on Baywork, coming soon to you, probably by June, so stay tuned. Next. So now I'm going to show you some screens from our UTAC digital tool so you can get a sense of what this does for us. Next. The dashboard provides an overview of the training system components and employees. It displays the location, the number of competencies completed, the total number of competencies across the job categories, and the percentage complete. Next screen. Further down on the page of the dashboard, you see this. It displays department, number of competencies completed, the competencies assigned to this group, modules in development, modules approved, and percentage of competencies completed. Next. On the trainees page, you get a list of trainees with the green line showing the progress they have made on their assigned modules. When you click on an individual trainee, you will see their record of their assigned modules and the percentage of completion. This training is tied to their performance appraisal. So we get data right out of this for their overall performance of the year. Next. In the department screen, you can create positions that will receive the CBTS training and assign training modules to the positions. Next. Here you can add training modules you develop, edit training modules, and define the competencies and create standard answers for the competencies. It's a very robust system. Here we see pieces of 3 different screens. The first screen works with the training modules. It allows you to define competencies and create the standard answers. You can create and approve training modules or delete modules as well. The second block allows you to write in standard answers for the task and system competencies. The third area shows the incompletion reasons on a question when given an assessment. So when you ask a question and they miss it, and they get it wrong, you input the reason for that. Are the materials needed available? Is the plant on a shutdown? That could be the environment reason. Is it a training issue? Do they need knowledge and abilities? Next. One of the key takeaways from any pilot are the lessons learned. You need to evaluate them to improve processes and systems moving forward. Both the SharePoint site and the pilot guidance manual offer our lessons learned matrix. Next. When we first started, we chose journey level people to attend the first Train the Trainer. Some people were new to our utility. It is the job of the seniors to train and rate performance of their employees. The people who ultimately need to do the training and assessment need to be aligned with these tasks in their job description. Journey level staff can participate in developing materials such as SOPs, but make sure to get your seniors involved early in the change process because they're the heavy lifters that are going to be giving the assessments and the training to the staff. Next. The decision was made early on to have an internal group create the safety training modules, which included gas monitor, confined space, fall protection, and lockout tagout. The consultants worked with us on the technical training modules for operations and mechanical maintenance. After about a year, we were looking to see how the safety modules were coming along. COVID caused many delays. They really had not been started. A deadline was given to complete the safety piece, but the materials were not satisfactory in the end. We needed to add a task order for the safety modules. The result was that our technical modules were complete and we were waiting for the safety modules to be developed and approved. Most of the technical modules required at least 1, if not 2 or 3 of those safety trainings in order to do the SOP task. Start with safety first. Let me repeat that. Start with safety first. Then develop, train, and assess technical modules. Next. Resources. This takes time, a lot of time. Make sure you have what you need in order to be successful. Staff time, not only for the people developing, but for the subject matter experts that you need to interview and get the information from. Make sure you have space for development. Do you have meeting space? Do you have training process? Do you have leadership buy-in? Calculate how many staff and how many hours per week they can dedicate to the system and stick to it. For example, if an assessment is a 2-hour exercise, how many assessments can you do in a week? 4 assessments represent a full day of work for the assessor. Schedules change, so whenever possible, have a backup plan. Our schedule changed a lot. Next. Culture change. This was the hardest part of the whole process. First, operators were not thrilled that all of a sudden they were going to be formally assessed on their job tasks performed, and they had never been tested on these things before. Add to that, learning the new digital tool and digital skills needed for this project, the resistance was very strong. After each workshop, the AGM facilitated a discussion on the culture change we were experiencing. Notes were taken and analyzed, resulting in a culture change matrix connected with the project. I incorporated the ADKAR change management model. A stands for awareness of the need for change. D stands for the desire to support and participate in the change. K is the knowledge of how to change. A represents the ability to implement the required skills and behaviors to manage the change. And R is for reinforcement to sustain the change. There are other models such as Lewin's change management model, McKinsey's 7S model, Kotter's change theory, and many more. This is just a model that our agency uses. But what is important is to have a change management plan. Products from the pilot. This is the fruits of our labor. We acquired digital tools, training curriculum, people trained and assessed on their job duties, and most importantly, we acquired a training system. Next. The other way. Making competency-based training system our own. The pilot concluded on June of 23. Now we must move forward with a strategy to implement what has been developed, identify what's developed next, and sustain our training system. Next. So here's our current organizational chart. Our new AGM, Joel Prather, guides the implementation and direction for this training program. We are including our collection sewer service crew in this system. We are working with consultants to develop 4 new training modules for them. A module on overflows was developed a few years back. We've renamed that to spills. For operations, we will use the modules with our operator and training program that we're building with our HR. So that's going to be the field work for the OIT program. For mechanical maintenance, we are continuing to train and assess on the modules that are developed and approved. We've identified a list of modules for pre-treatment that will need to be added to the system. So we're in the process of beginning development on those modules. And once the modules are developed, we'll train and assess on them. And then we'll begin to move this whole system over to our Southeast plant and get the training system going there. It's our biggest plant. There is a program support and contract manager lead for this training system. That's me. And safety training is now being done by our safety officer, Napoleon. Next. So a roles and responsibilities guide was developed as a guidance tool for people involved with this system. It includes the framework elements, training and assessment competencies, tracking and metrics, roles and responsibilities, summary of major events, SharePoint content and screens, digital training and resources, links to our SharePoint pages, flowcharts of development, training, and assessment, which I'll review with you. So this is going to really help us as we move to the Southeast plant and help people understand the different roles and events in the system. Thank you. Next. So this is our flow chart for developing materials. Basically, the manager determines what we need to develop, and he communicates that to the staff. Then we work with CBTS to begin developing the materials, beginning with the SOP. Once the SOP is developed and approved, then we move on to creating the standard answers for the assessment piece. And we could go back and forth on the editing of these documents, which you can see with the red lines. After the standard answers, we develop the PowerPoint and any videos needed for the instruction piece. And when all of those are approved, then we're ready to schedule training. So this is for the development of the materials. Next. This is for the training itself. Once the materials are developed and approved, we set forth a schedule with the CBTS group, and the manager approves the schedule. And then the CBTS lead will handle all the logistics and the handouts. And then they will send an invite to the trainers and the participants for the training. Create the sign-in sheet, standard stuff, right? The lead ensures that all people are entered into the UTAC training system and assigned the training module. The day of the training, you show up on time, sign in to the sign-in sheet, and then the seniors deliver the instruction for the training. And then we update our trackers, and once the training is complete, we're ready to schedule and begin assessments. Next. So here's our flow chart for assessments. We have to create the assessment schedule and get that approved. And then we send out invites to the assessments for both the assessor and the staff member being assessed. The trainer explains what will happen during the session. The trainer and the assessor are the same person, the senior. They will explain what's going to happen in the session. And then the senior conducts the assessment, and they ask those questions I reviewed earlier. What are the steps to this process, right? Did the participant pass their assessment? If yes, we record that in UTAC and we assign them their next module to work on. If no, we create a training plan for just the questions they missed. Just the questions they missed. We review that, we train them, we review that with them, and when the assessor feels they're ready, they'll schedule another assessment and they'll conduct it. And when they get 100%, then they're deemed complete, and they'll get that completion on their record in UTAC. Okay, next. Mechanical maintenance. Pre-treatment modules are in development now. Here's a list you can see on your screen of the different modules we're developing. Once they're developed, training and assessment will follow. After this group completes, we'll deliver the train the trainer session for the SEP plant, identify seniors at SEP to participate in the training system, and begin making it our own at Southeast Plant. Next. Collections. Collections started working with CTS in the fall of 2022. We are complete with all the development of all the modules. These are the modules: recycler truck, service truck, CCTV with push camera, and rollover truck. Right now, this week, Jim McPherson is here, and we are teaching the supervisors how to train and assess staff on the CCTV is what we're working with today, but on all of these. The goal for collections is to complete these modules by June 24. And when I say complete, I mean all the assessments, all the training, all the assessments, and the tracking. And we're doing really well there. Next. Operations. This will be the on-the-job training component for our operator and training program we are developing in partnership with our HR, both at agency and city level. The modules can also be used as a refresher for operators who are unfamiliar with a new task or assignment. So that's how we're going to use the operations. Next. Here's our current SharePoint page and our QR code. The page is updated constantly and houses minutes, reports, metrics, training, resources, and trackers. We have given training on the SharePoint solution and the UTAC Even that training is recorded and stored here. Next. Under the team minutes section, there is a folder for every group that you can see. Next. Within each folder are subfolders for different types of documents. I'm illustrating our meeting minutes. So there's our meeting minutes folder. You see the meeting minutes listed 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you see a copy of the 10th meeting minutes that are all stored in that folder. We also have folders for status reports, quarterly plans, and a charter, and roles and responsibilities and other documents are listed as well. Next. This is a critical page. All the training that we did for the UTAC system and the SharePoint solution for automatically reviewing and approving documents is contained here. Sorry, I got stuff popping up on my page. So people can go here. Next, Elizabeth. People can go here and you can see the video of the training, the transcript of what was said. Also, there's an editing guide you can see in the pink. So if you just need to review one thing, like downloading and logging into the app, you can just skip to 1.02 on the tape and go right there. So it's got an editing feature that I've used consistently and that I love. And then it has a link to the UTAC SOP for guidance in using it. Next. So we get a monthly status report from our consultant. We will get one until June, and this talks about what he did last month, what he's working on currently, and what's next in the queue. Next. Here's a report that I generate tracking the assessments and the training for collections we've just started. This is just on the recycler truck. So we'll have one of these coming out for all of the different areas. Next. Next steps. Finish developing the collection modules. Training delivered and assessments conducted for collection modules. Tracking reports kept up and sent to management on a monthly basis. We're going to create the pre-treatment modules for the mechanical maintenance group at OSP, and we're going to train and assess on those modules. Then we're going to conduct a train the trainer course for SCP, our Southeast plant, seniors to learn how to develop materials, train, and assess people. And then we're going to start identifying modules to develop at SCP for the mechanical maintenance and operations groups and put a plan together for the SCP competency-based training system. Good, I'm done in time for some questions. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you so much, Catherine. Yeah, there were a number of questions that were in the Q&A, and they're from Ed Stevenson from Alameda County Water District. And
okay.
Ed, I'm just going to have you go ahead and ask the questions yourself. So you should be able to talk now.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, thanks for featuring me here. No, this is really good information and really intriguing. But yeah, I do have a few questions. First of all, kind of going back to the basis of the program, what was the impetus for starting the program to begin with? What were there?
Well, Greg Norby was our new AGM.
Yeah.
And he had done this process at his last facility, Ross Valley Sanitation District. And he saw that our training was not as good as it could be. And so he started this process with us so that we could develop a training system.
Okay, yeah, good. So it sounds like you had experience with this in the past, found it was helpful, and wanted to bring it to San Francisco. That's great. Um, Another question is has to do with engagement with your unions and so forth. You've added job responsibilities to certain folks to be trainers. You've had trainees having this new requirement, and certain functions seem to be tied to performance appraisals. Did this require a process, a meet and confer process, or another process with the unions there?
Not to my knowledge. Greg and George, the leaders might have, but according to our announcements, it was our seniors that were responsible for training and assessing the performance of their people. So we're not asking people to do anything that's not in their job description to do.
You got it. This just gave them the tools
It
to
just gave them the
start
tool
there.
and the process to do it.
Right, right. Okay. And then I think I saw reference to the consultant that you're using. Just wanted to understand who that consultant is and what was their scope relative to your own as staff?
So the consultant was Jim McPherson. He created the competency-based training system. His company is called CBT, Competency-Based Training. And he developed the UTAC software, both the application and the cloud-based software. So that's who. What was the second part of the question?
Yeah, that was what it was both. It was who is it and what was their role. And it sounds like Jim McPherson brought in the software, helped to develop the software, and then helped you all implement it there as part of this program.
Yeah, 79 points of cybersecurity we had to get.
Yeah, you can't understate the value of cybersecurity. Appreciate that. My last question was, it sounds like you're rolling this out to, further into the wastewater side of the organization. Is this same program going to be implemented in the water enterprise side as well?
I'm not sure. I don't work for Water Enterprise. I just work for wastewater. That would be up to them.
No problem. Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem. My pleasure. Any other questions? Since I wrote the manual and all the roles and responsibilities, I know this like the back of my hand. So if you have any questions, I can answer them.
Yeah, I was going to say this has been sort of Catherine's baby at PUC for several years now, obviously. So while you have her, ask away. I will make just two comments. Number one, we're going to send out Catherine's PowerPoint to everyone who registered for the webinar today. We'll do that in the next day or two. And also check out the chat. Sessa Pabalon, my colleague at Baywork, has put in a link to a SurveyMonkey survey. It's 7 questions. It'll take you like a minute or two to fill it out. So please give us your feedback so we can figure out whether we're on the right track in terms of the kind of topics you'd like us to cover in these webinars.
Does anybody on the call do competency-based training at their utility?
Okay, so let's see, we have another, we have another question from Tim.
It was a nominal fee, I believe, Steve. And Jim is saying to me now, because I said, do we have to renew it every year? He said, I just might let you just use it for free because it's needed to support the whole training system. I think, what did we pay? I can't even remember. It was a nominal fee. It wasn't that much for the software. And you could get 50 users per license. And I think I got 50 licenses.
And
hi there, this is Tim.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, good morning still.
Good
Um,
morning still.
close to it, but I was curious. This program I had heard a lot about, and I was with for many years before I moved to a new division downtown, where we still do some field work, but with one of the functional field groups outside of kind of the operations and plants, and we had under our management, with our kind of a local group, division management, and down to the team, we're developing kind of our own sort of in-house program in coordination with learning management. And I had always wondered if there might be any kind of like support for some of these other groups within wastewater, or what might be like the best process for groups that are interested to kind of have a more kind of formal, I guess is maybe the right term, kind of like training, you know, program for new staff, and even like summer support. So occasionally we have interns or like temporary support, and I was just kind of curious about what process there might be for that, or how to kind of bring on some of the support that this really kind of comprehensive, amazing program has developed, and has I guess the capability or the model to do.
There's a lot in that question to unpack there, Tim.
There is, yeah. And
Um,
also, oh,
the
sorry.
short answer is yes. I've just been asked to lead our WeTech group. That's our training arm for wastewater enterprise. I'm going to be bringing the CBTS training system into that group and training people up on it, because as we move into Southeast Plant, it's going to take a village, not just one person. So yes, there will be support, and for whatever you or Sarah need, you're with Urban Watershed, right?
I am now, yeah, yeah. I just
Whatever
my
you need, just outreach to me. I'll be happy to support you, whatever you need.
That'd be
I
great.
have 4 people in my training group, and right now I'm going through a transition process where I'm interviewing all the leaders to see what they want. I'm interviewing the staff to see what talent they have. And then I'll feed back to the managers what they said they want, and then we'll identify the key items, prioritize. I'll bring that back to my group and we'll create a work plan. And there is a form that you can fill out if you need assistance from us. So why don't we connect off of this page, and I'll give you all that information, Tim.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Happy to
And
help any way I can.
yeah, also I would just add, you mentioned it too, that COVID was such a big, uh, uh, to so many elements, but definitely with kind of the development of our little in-house sort of like curriculum, we called it, that really derailed a lot of our efforts. So I find it really uh, kind of inspiring that you were able to adapt and kind of be nimble in how you were able to continue to provide like sort of the training and support to the operational folks and staff that kind of needed it, because on our end that was a really big disruptor.
Well, I could say failure was not an option.
Right. Right. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Please remember to fill in your survey. Any last questions? Hi, James Sparks. Nice to see you here.
Before we leave the webinar, just one more plug for Baywork upcoming events. Our next webinar will be on February 28th, and it will be on interviewing basics. We'll have one of our distinguished colleagues from Fairfield. Wait, no, she's from Central Contra Costa Sanitation District, doing a presentation on interviewing, and this is for people who are trying to get into the industry, but a lot for people who are trying to move up within the industry, mostly for people who are trying to move up within the industry. So look for that webinar if you haven't already gotten the registration information. Please contact me, and I will put my my email in the chat.
I'd like to shout out a thank you to Elizabeth and Sessa, who we couldn't operate without them. So thank you, ladies, so much for all your dedication.
Well, thank you. Are there any other final questions or final comments?
I hope you found it valuable, and if you have any question, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you. And read the article in AWWA Journal. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Bye.